Republicans are claiming that based on some remarks that Kamala Harris, Vice President Harris, said recently, that FEMA is only interested in racial justice and equity, which they really hate that fucking word. In other words, CRT. And that is because she said something recently. I think it was at like a women's conference or something like that. She was asked about the relief.
A women's conference? That's CRT.
She was asked about the relief efforts ongoing from Hurricane Ian. And she said this that got spun out of control by the far right. Take a look.
Our lowest income communities and our communities of color that are most impacted by these extreme conditions and impacted by issues that are not of their own making. And so absolutely. And so we have to address this in a way that is about giving resources based on equity, understanding that we fight for equality, but we also need to fight for equity, understanding not everyone starts out at the same place. And if we want people to be in an equal place, sometimes we have to take into account those disparities.
Hurricane CRT.
Right. So she's just saying, like, look, to each according to their own need, which is a Marxist slogan. I understand that. But, like, you know.
So it is CRT.
So it is basically CRT. No, but effectively, like, and this was the same thing in the big climate bill, which the fact that it included something about environmental justice made Tucker Carlson do an entire segment about how actually climate change mitigation is about critical race theory. Like, actually, it's about stealing from the white man and giving to people of color. The poor folks who live in low-lying communities who are being most effective, the people who don't have insurance policies on their yachts, right? Because they don't have boats.
There's nothing that white conservatives hate more than someone pointing out the reality of inequality. That is offensive to them because it makes them feel like, oh, you're saying that I'm fucking rich, and it's like, well, are you rich? Because Tucker Carlson, you are.
Yeah,
and that's a thing. It's like just the entire idea behind like hating CRT is viewing the reality of not everybody is equal in this country, and just saying that.
Well, it's the same, exactly, and it's also the same thing as like mentioning race is racism,
right? Exactly. Yeah.
Mentioning inequality is
CRT,
is socialism.
Yeah.
It's billionaire fragility. Mentioning that like some people have insurance policies for their mansions that got flooded, and other people literally don't have a home right now.
Yeah,
that's not fair. That's not okay. So that got twisted and is now like, being used against Biden because it was the only thing these Republicans in the midst of their hypocrisy in the wake of the hurricane, that's the only thing they could grasp onto.
Yeah.
Here you're going to see Senator Rick Scott of Florida also dodging a question about those comments we talked about earlier, Trump effectively and Marjorie Taylor Greene at a Trump rally, calling for violence, saying that Democrats are already killing people. Trump, talking about Coco Chow in reference to Elaine Chow. So the amount of rhetoric, and here he is trying to squirm out of that, trying to get back on message, trying to be sort of whatever hero he tries to be. And it is just insane to watch him do this job. Take a look.
Would you rebuke those comments?
Well, I think what we got to do is we got to bring everybody together. I would also say that what Vice President Harris said yesterday, or day before yesterday, that if you have a different skin color, you're going to get relief faster.
That's not what the Vice President said.
So I think what we've got to do.
That's not what the Vice President said. She talked about equity and the problem within FEMA. But I'm specifically asking you about Marjorie Taylor Greene and President Trump.
Wait, Margaret, let's make sure. FEMA has to be colorblind.
Sir, you're talking about substance, and I would love to talk to you about that. But what I quoted you was a phrase saying McConnell has a death wish. He said racist things about Elaine Chow. And then they have already started the killings. I mean, that's not a policy dispute, Senator. The language is what I'm talking about. Isn't that dangerous?
I think we all have to figure out How do we start bringing people together and have a common goal to give every American the opportunity to get a great job, their kids to have an education they believe they can be anything, and make sure everybody lives in a safe community? That's what I do every day, and I try to bring people together to do that.
And you would agree that that language doesn't bring people together?
I believe that what the President Trump was talking about is the fact that we can't keep spending money. We're going to hurt our poorest families the most with this reckless Democrat spending, and we got to stop it. We can't cave into their spending.
Except when it comes to bailing out Florida, a red state, from a hurricane that has nothing to do with climate change.
You gotta stop spending money on people who are not going to vote for me. You gotta stop spending money. It's not good for the low and middle income families who like me.
Mostly for me, it's not good for me.
It's only good for the people who think that I look like White Skeletor.
Yeah.
And
but
those are not my
What about those
constituents.
comments? Do you condemn those comments or condone them?
Well, I'm going to pretend I haven't heard that and say, once again, we all got to come together. Coming separately is the problem we've had historically in America. I think when people get in a circle and start coming together and seeing, who can come first.
Mr. Scott,
let me finish. Let me finish.
Uncalled for at this joint. This is a primetime show.
Let me finish. They come together in a circle, and there's a cookie in the middle. Some people call it a biscuit.
America, and how would that at all mitigate the impacts of hurricanes?
Margaret, I'm not going to
or help the people of Florida, of your state.
Sit here and argue basic American history, but I know in history when Americans get together in a circle and they come together.
Is this cookie edible?
Let me finish, Margaret.
Because the people need desperate food aid.
Yes, well, this is what I'm talking about. The last person who comes on the cookie has to eat it. Okay? So I think when America does that...
This interview is over.
America's at its best.
Cut his mic.
Rick Scott, 2022. It's a great interview he gave, I think. I think he's got a future. That's the most velociraptor-looking motherfucker currently serving in Congress, and I can't imagine why anyone would vote for him. His eyes look like they got sucked back by Vecna.
I hope you all send this. If you have Republican family or friends in Florida, just please send it to them.
Send them this bit we just did.
No, don't send them. Well, just it's so. I'm so mad. Like I don't ever want to hear a Florida Republican talk about climate change not existing or talk about a blue fucking state or spend $12 million trying to sending migrants in Texas to Martha's Vineyard. What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/Bitchuation Room. Do it.